the issues surrounding the Boeing 737 MAX have had a profound impact on the aviation industry. The grounding of the aircraft led to significant financial losses for airlines, disrupted travel plans, and put a spotlight on aircraft safety regulations worldwide. The 737 MAX, once a symbol of innovation and ambition, now serves as a stark reminder of how even the most advanced technologies can falter under the weight of their own complexities. The chaos of the 737 hasn't happened overnight and has been an evolution of carelessness and arrogance. The Boeing 737 MAX is the fourth generation of the Boeing 737, a narrow-body airliner manufactured by Boeing Commercial Airplanes, which was announced in August 2011 and took its maiden flight in January 2016. Looking at its majestic grandeur, the 737 MAX is based on earlier 737 designs, with more efficient CFM International LEAP engines, aerodynamic changes including distinctive split-tip winglets, and airframe modifications. Since then, the 737 has become so popular that Boeing estimates it takes off or lands every 1.5 seconds. If you've flown, you've likely flown at some point in your life on a 737. It's one of the most commonly used aircraft by airlines around the world. However, the 737 MAX has had its challenges. In the world of aviation, competition is the wind that births innovation. But for the Boeing 737 MAX, it was this very gust of competition that set it on the wrong path. We are speaking of the two major airlines, Airbus and Boeing. When combined, their aircraft made up more than 75% of all aircraft in operation last year. The pair compete on a variety of jetliners, particularly models like the 737 and A320, which make up about 60% of the world's fleet. The winds of competition intensified when Airbus introduced an upgrade to its current narrow-body airliner, the A320neo, a new engine option in 2011. This upgrade, with its increased fuel efficiency, promised airlines significant savings. American Airlines, a Boeing-only client at the time, informed Boeing that it would need to act fast to win the carrier over and was ready to place an enormous order with Airbus. In the race against time and competition, Boeing took many shortcuts in the process of creating this aeroplane. Undoubtedly, Boeing felt the impact of those shortcuts. Turbulence that shook the very foundations of the 737 MAX, leading it further down the path of controversy and crisis. Designing a new airplane has the potential to take up to a decade and billions of dollars in investment to complete. Faced with this daunting prospect, Boeing decided to re-engine the 737 with a new engine variant, which was more fuel efficient, and called it the 737 MAX. The reason was simple. It's cheaper and faster to modify an existing design than to start from scratch. This approach allowed Boeing to get planes to market faster and not to lose out on orders to their rival, Airbus. The 737 MAX 8 received FAA certification in 2017. However, during development, Boeing engineers observed a tendency for the nose to pitch up during a specific extreme maneuver. This led to the design of software called the Maneuvering Characteristics Augmentation System, or MCAS, which would push the aeroplane's nose down. Unfortunately, in the MAX 8 crashes in Indonesia and Ethiopia, MCAS was activated after receiving inaccurate sensor data. It repeatedly pointed the nose downward until it struck the ground. Pilots on both flights fought to override the system, but their efforts were in vain, resulting in the two fatal crashes. The first crash occurred on October 29, 2018, when Lion Air Flight 610 plunged into the Java Sea shortly after takeoff from Jakarta, Indonesia. All 189 people on board were killed. The second crash happened on the 10th of March 2019, when Ethiopian Airlines Flight 302 crashed shortly after takeoff from Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. All 157 people on board lost their lives. In this case, the pilots attempted to counteract the effects of MCAS, but could not physically move the mechanical trim wheel due to the aerodynamic force from plunging toward the ground. In the aftermath of the crashes, pilots of the 737 MAX were left in the dark. The existence of MCAS was not disclosed to them until 2 weeks after the first crash. It wasn't until after the second crash, nearly 5 months later, that the planes were grounded. This grounding lasted for 20 months, the longest in aviation history. A report from Congress found numerous design, management, and regulatory failures by both Boeing and the FAA. While Boeing and the FAA have responded more aggressively to the MAX 9 issue, reports and audits of the accident are uncovering new problems that go beyond the January 5th issue. Some planes had holes that weren't properly drilled. The fuselage had some substandard components in places. To increase profitability, Boeing spun off its Wichita division as Spirit Aerosystems. This move put pressure on Spirit Aerosystems to manufacture the fuselages as cheaply as possible. There is no doubt that there have been some intangible quality control costs associated with this. Spirit's revenue from manufacturing parts for Boeing was over 70% of its total revenue in the previous year. It is their largest client. Then, roughly 25% comes from Airbus. After reaching an all-time high in 2019, just before the Ethiopian MAX crash, the stock took a nosedive during the pandemic and has seen a decline of over 25% so far in 2024. The stock seems to be in a holding pattern until there's an all-clear signal, a multi-billion-dollar question that remains unanswered. In late 2022, Boeing faced another setback. The company saw veteran engineers who chose to retire, locking in larger monthly pension payments tied to interest rates. This was reported by the Society of Professional Engineering Employees in Aerospace, the union representing them. More than 1,700 union members who had been with the company for an average of over 23 years left that year. This was a significant increase from the approximately 1,000 who left the previous year. Ray Goforth, the executive director of the union, expressed his concerns, stating that Boeing was losing a wealth of expertise. Despite the union's proposed solutions, Boeing did not take action. Goforth suggested that the company use these retirements as an opportunity to cut costs by replacing experienced workers with lower-paid entry-level engineers and technical workers. As of now, Boeing employs around 171,000 people across its commercial plane, defense, services, and other divisions. This figure represents a roughly 20% increase from the end of 2020. However, many of the new hires are less experienced, according to current and former employees. This shift in workforce composition could have significant implications for the company's future, leaving them in even messier circumstances. In April 2021, Boeing stated that it was recommending operators of specific 737 MAX address a potential electrical issue before flying the aircraft again. The Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, revealed that during testing of a recently constructed 737-8, an electrical bonding and grounding issue was found. Boeing's analysis found possible bond degradation linked to equipment electrical grounding that might have an impact on specific systems' functionality. The FAA warned that a failure of the Standby Power Control Unit, SPCU, and ground through the P6 panel could potentially result in a significant loss of flight crew instrumentation and displays, leading to a safety risk. The FAA issued a directive mandating that operators install 2 bonding jumpers from the P6 panel structure to the primary structure. However, this directive only affected a small portion of the United States-based fleet. The problems with the MCAS software system and electrical concerns with the Boeing 737 MAX have had significant repercussions. These issues not only resulted in deadly crashes, but also sparked grave concerns about Boeing's safety procedures and the aviation industry's oversight. In the wake of these issues, the Federal Aviation Administration, FAA, and the Department of Justice, DOJ, launched significant investigations into the matter. These investigations aim to uncover the root causes of the problems and ensure that such incidents do not occur in the future. The FAA conducted a thorough audit of Boeing and Spirit Aerosystems, identifying multiple instances where the companies allegedly failed to comply with manufacturing quality control requirements. As a result of the audit's findings, the FAA halted production expansion of the Boeing 737 MAX. Parallelly, the DOJ charged Boeing with a conspiracy to defraud the FAA's Aircraft Evaluation Group in connection with the group's evaluation of the 737 MAX. Boeing entered into a deferred prosecution agreement, agreeing to pay a total criminal monetary amount of over $2.5 billion. But the 737 woes don't end there, and those behind the scenes have been speaking out about their concerns on the dubious company policies. Following the FAA's investigation, another significant aspect of the Boeing 737 MAX saga came to light: the role of whistleblowers. One such whistleblower was John Barnett, a former Boeing quality control engineer who voiced concerns over possible 737 MAX 2 safety hazards. Sadly, Barnett was discovered dead in his truck in the hotel parking lot while he was attending a deposition for a lawsuit against Boeing. Another whistleblower claimed serious and gross misconduct by senior quality management of the 737 MAX production line at Spirit AeroSystems, a supplier to Boeing. Joshua Dean was a former quality auditor at Spirit AeroSystems. After being let go by Spirit in 2023, Dean complained to the Department of Labor, claiming that his dismissal was a result of his voicing safety concerns. Regretfully, Dean also died following a brief illness. Following the revelations from the whistleblowers, Boeing underwent significant changes in its management and operations. Boeing's leadership changed in the wake of the crashes and the investigations that followed. In December 2019, Boeing fired Dennis Muilenburg, the company's CEO since 2015. The action was deemed necessary to restore confidence in Boeing, according to the firm. In January 2020, David Calhoun assumed the position of CEO. However, after the January 2024 Alaska Airlines incident, Boeing declared that Calhoun would step down by the end of 2024. The delivery of new aircraft was also significantly impacted by the 737 MAX problems as well. Following the discovery of fresh manufacturing errors by a supplier, Boeing issued a warning regarding probable delivery delays for the 737 MAX. About 50 aircraft that were not delivered required maintenance, since Spirit AeroSystems, the company's supplier, found 2 poorly drilled holes. This problem impacted both the P-8 Poseidon maritime surveillance aircraft and the 737 MAX family of aircraft, which includes the MAX 7, MAX 8, and MAX 8200 aircraft. According to Boeing, the new problem affected a significant number of undelivered aircraft that were both in production and storage. The company was working with regulators to conduct inspections and replace fittings where necessary. This issue did not represent a pause in deliveries, and any 737 with an unaffected fuselage could be delivered. Boeing faced significant changes after whistleblowers revealed issues with the 737 MAX. The FAA is currently investigating whether Boeing ensured plane safety after the door plug blew off the 737 MAX 9 mid-flight. Passenger confidence has been significantly shaken by the 737 MAX incidents. Travelers are more aware and concerned about the type of aircraft they fly on. Some passengers have expressed reluctance to fly on the 737 MAX, even after its service return. In response, airlines and Boeing have been working to rebuild passenger confidence. This includes transparency about the changes made to the 737 MAX, rigorous safety demonstrations, and allowing passengers to change flights if they are uncomfortable flying on the 737 MAX. There are also discussions about a potential replacement for the 737 MAX. Boeing had sketched out a design for a new narrow-body aircraft to completely replace the 737 product line. This new aircraft was being targeted for entry into service by 2030 at the latest. However, the exact timeline and the final decision on this new aircraft are still uncertain. While the 737 MAX has faced significant challenges, it's no wonder it is in such a mess. Fortunately, this is not the end, as its future will be shaped by a variety of factors, including production plans, customer confidence, and potential new aircraft designs. In the end, it is not just the fate of a single aircraft or company at stake, but the trust and confidence of millions of passengers who place their lives in our hands every day. Hopefully, Boeing reassess its practices, emerge from the wreckage, and reclaim its place in the skies. But what do you think? Let us know in the comments below. Until next time, take care.